There we go. Sorry.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. It's how you doing?
Good.
Good. All right. Friday before the long weekend, I'll get you for a few questions here. So, step 3 expires actually next week. Like it's 21 days after, So what happens after step 3? Are we fully opened? Are they going to delay the fully opening? So what's going to happen next week?
So the province said it'll be based on vaccination numbers across the province. They want everyone to be over 80%. First doses, no one less than 70%. Second doses, no health unit less than 70%. And so we've got some ways to go to meet their target for leaving stage 3.
Okay.
I would say we're going to meet those numbers in Peel very soon, and hopefully the rest of the province does as well, so that we can be in that position.
Cool. When do you think we'll be in that position, in your opinion?
It all depends on how many people come to get vaccinated.
True. Okay. You mentioned this week that bylaw officers will not be doing anything about outdoor masking rules. Tell us about that.
Well, we just don't agree with it. The medical advice is clear that outdoors is safe, low-risk environments for COVID-19. And the notion that some parents watching their kids on the soccer field have to wear a mask while watching their kids is inconsistent with the clear health advice that we've been given and has been provided internationally by the World Health Organization. And so, we've spoken to the officials at Osler and Peel Public Health, and they feel that outdoors it should be by choice, and indoors that it needs to continue to be mandatory. And so rather than waste our bylaw officers' resources on enforcing provisions of the Ontario Reopening Act that relate to outdoor masking, we've got more important work the bylaw officers can be doing. And so it's just not going to be a focus of enforcement for us.
With the long weekend upon us this weekend, are bylaw officers going to be out more in full force this weekend?
It'll be the regular numbers.
Yeah, okay. All right. When do you think that masking bylaw, when do you think we'll be fully unmasked? September?
That's not what I'm hearing from public health. I believe public health is going to continue to require the indoor mask mandate for some time. It's tough to even get the province to move on the outdoor mask mandate. So I think we're a ways to go when it comes to indoors.
Insaga did a poll and asked if they're in favor of vaccine passports. Over 2,500 people answered. 72% said yes, they want vaccine passports, which was surprising. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's not something we're going to be pushing municipally. We don't have the jurisdiction to bring in a vaccine passport. That would have to be done at the federal level. And I would say this. I believe people have the choice to decline a vaccine. Canada is a democracy. I believe in freedom, and I encourage everyone to get a vaccine. I have studied the issue. I've listened to the best medical advice, and I believe it's in your self-interest to get a vaccine. But people have the freedom to make good and bad choices. That's part of the beauty of a democracy. And what I'm trying to do in Brampton is to arm our residents with the best possible information. We're providing them, we have regular town halls where we have hospital briefings. I'm going to make sure that residents are informed with the latest hospital statistics, with the latest health data, and hopefully they make informed decisions. If you look at the last 2 months of hospitalizations, they're all people that are not fully vaccinated. Literally, no one who is fully vaccinated has ended up being hospitalized in the last 2 months. The stats are staggering. Vaccines saves lives. Vaccines protect you. But ultimately, you can't force someone to get a vaccine. That's not the way a country that embraces democracy and freedom functions.
You just read my next question about the 100% admission to Brampton Civic or unvaccinated people that came in for COVID-19. What do you, I mean, I'm sure you get it as a mayor. What do you say to these kind of like Facebook MD doctors that are experts, and tell them that, vaccines are the way to go? Like, what do you tell them?
So I encourage everyone to listen to our top officials. We have Dr. Lawrence Lowe, who has training in infectious diseases, who worked at the national level on infectious diseases, and he does town halls, Facebook events, Instagram events with me. We try to make sure he's available to answer questions, to correct misinformation. We also have Dr. Naveed Muhammad. You know, he's done meetings with me with every faith group. He actually speaks English and Punjabi and Urdu. He's been able to help communicate information in multiple languages, and he sees every day what's happening in the hospital. He sees who's in ICU, and it's the unvaccinated population. And so my response to internet myths is to put before residents the most knowledgeable physicians we have in the region of Peel. And we have some very educated experts in the medical field who can put to rest any of these fallacies that exist on the internet.
I know there's a couple of regions in Peel that have a low vaccination rate. Is the region of Peel or Brampton doing anything creative to going out to these neighborhoods and, you know, educating them or getting them shots?
So Dr. Lowe has said that going forward, rather than the reliance only on mass vaccination centers, it's going to be more targeted. So they'll be more creative in targeting areas where there needs to be more vaccine uptake, and that will include workplace visits, targeted community vaccinations, and that's the stage we're entering into. We have vaccination levels in Peel now that would be the envy of many countries around the world, but we have ambitions to do even better.
I got to ask this because, you know, Alberta has opened up everything, or going to be opening up everything, you know, allowing people to not quarantine even if they have COVID. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's going to be interesting what happens in Alberta. I know a lot of infectious disease physicians and public health officials are watching closely what's happening in Alberta and what the response will be in the fall.
Toronto's had issues of kind of tent cities and parks. Has Brampton ever dealt with this?
We haven't had that issue yet. We have had some encampments around Etobicoke Creek, but we've worked with our social service organizations to try to provide supports, but we haven't had the same intensity of the challenge that Toronto has.
Fort and Lecce are supposed to come back with the back to school plan next week. How do you think this will look like in the fall for students and parents?
Well, I want to see kids back in school. I want to see kids learning in person. You know, there's no way to say that online learning has the same efficiency as in person. I think students need to be with their peers. I think we're in a great position. When schools were closed before, it was one of the reasons was educators weren't vaccinated. And there was transmission rates in high schools that were noticeable. And now we're in a position where the vast majority of our 12 plus population, which would be the high school age individuals where there was educational transmission, they're now vaccinated. Our educators are now vaccinated. So I think we're in a very good position to return to in-person learning, and whether there's additional provisions that can be made, ventilation, upgrades for older schools. I hope that there's plans and provisions for that, but I think we're in a good position to get kids learning again. And let's not forget, Ontario was one of the only jurisdictions in the world that had such an extensive shutdown of schools. If children in other areas around the world were able to find ways to learn at the same time as going through this pandemic, there's no reason that we can't as well in Ontario.
Two fun questions to end off this interview or chat. Lots of Brampton representation in the Olympics. Sprinters, volleyball, soccer. Are you enjoying it? Are you watching all the Brampton reps in the Tokyo Olympics?
Yeah, I am watching the Olympics. It's hard not to, and it's fun to watch late at night since of the time change with Japan. We got some great talent from Brampton. I think historically I'm a bit more of a Winter Olympics fan, but the Summer Olympics are fun too. And I have to say, Brams United, our local girls soccer club, they're really proud of the talent that they continue to produce. And it's just special to know that kids who grow up locally here in Brampton there are examples and role models for them on an Olympic level. And, maybe we'll be able to play one of these events on the big screen at Garden Square if some of our athletes get into the medal stages.
That's awesome. And the Rose Theatre is bringing back some live performances soon. Mayor Brown, if you had a choice for a dream concert or a performance at Rose Theatre, what would your dream concert be?
Oh, who knows? We've got some talent. Maybe a dream scenario would be to have Russell Peters back, maybe to do a comedy night. I know he did one for the hospital before.
Yeah.
Alessia Cara, we're proud of her Brampton roots. It would be great to see her in person. I think there'd be some great options of what we could have at the Rose. Maybe the Rose wouldn't be big enough for things like that.
So if you had your choice, though, it doesn't have to be a Brampton rep. It could be anybody. What would the dream be?
I'm biased towards Brampton, though. Okay. Yeah, I would love to see Russell Peters at the Rose. That would be fantastic.
Awesome. Any plans this long weekend?
Lots of events, actually. It's Emancipation Day on Sunday, so we're going to have some community events around Emancipation Day, flag raising, community barbecues. We've got the farmers market on Saturday. We got some big cricket tournaments this weekend that I'll be attending. So it's actually a pretty busy weekend, a pretty busy long weekend in Brampton. Nice.
Awesome. Mayor Brown, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for giving me your time every week.
And one shout out, I should say today, it's the 92nd birthday of our most famous resident from Brampton. He's celebrating today at home in Brampton on Main Street, and that's former Premier Bill Davis. So
happy birthday today.
Happy birthday to a Canadian icon and a Brampton icon.
Have you seen him today? Did you see him?
I have seen him today, but I know he's celebrating with family. Maybe I'll get a chance to drop by later.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much, Mayor Brown.
Thank you.
See you next week.